Have you ever wondered if the old 5-cent coin sitting in your pocket could be worth more than a luxury home? Most people never think twice before spending a buffalo nickel, but that tiny mistake could cost them a hidden fortune. Do not spend these coins until you've watched this entire video, because nobody talks about the incredible treasures still hiding in everyday collections. Collectors are fighting over certain buffalo nickels, creating real auction shock that continues to surprise even long-time experts. Check your pocket now, because these coins can change everything. And don't leave early. Each coin we reveal becomes rarer, more valuable, and far more dangerous to ignore than the last. Coin number 1. The moment a collector spots a 1914 buffalo nickel without a mint mark, the room changes. Conversations slow down, eyes lock onto the coin, and experienced buyers suddenly become very careful with every move they make. It doesn't scream wealth. It doesn't sparkle like gold. In fact, to most people, it looks like nothing more than an old nickel that has spent decades bouncing around pockets and drawers. That ordinary appearance is exactly what makes this coin so dangerous to ignore. Hidden wealth rarely announces itself, and this buffalo nickel has quietly slipped through countless hands while carrying the potential to become a silent fortune for the lucky person who recognizes it. This is not fiction. Stories like this continue to fuel the passion of collectors across the United States and even attract growing interest from Australia, where American classic coins have developed a loyal following among international numismatists. Most people miss this because they never stop to read the date carefully. They assume every old nickel has the same value. That assumption has caused countless valuable coins to disappear back into circulation, spent on everyday purchases without a second thought. The year 1914 was unlike most years in American history. The United States was experiencing rapid industrial growth, while the world was entering an uncertain period as the First World War began overseas. Although America had not yet entered the conflict, economic uncertainty and changing financial priorities influenced manufacturing and commerce throughout the country. Coins were still flowing through banks, railroads, factories, farms, and busy city streets. Every buffalo nickel minted that year became part of a nation preparing for an unpredictable future, and only a tiny percentage survived in attractive original condition more than a century later. That's why collectors become obsessed with this date. It's more than a coin. It's a surviving witness to one of the most important turning points of the 20th century. Every scratch, every shade of color, every tiny mark tells part of a story that simply cannot be recreated. Look closely at the front of the coin, known as the obverse. You'll find the powerful portrait of a Native American facing toward the right. Above the portrait appears the word liberty, while the year 1914 is positioned beside the shoulder. Unlike modern coins with polished finishes, the buffalo nickel was designed with deep artistic relief, giving the portrait remarkable character and strength. Even after decades of circulation, many collectors can immediately recognize the bold facial features that made this design one of the most admired in American coinage. Now turn the coin over to the reverse. Standing proudly in the center is the famous American bison, often called a buffalo, resting on raised ground. Above the animal appears United States of America, while beneath it sits the denomination 5 cents. The national motto, E pluribus unum, appears across the upper portion of the reverse. This rugged design captures the spirit of early America, and many collectors believe no modern coin has ever matched its emotional impact. One detail changes everything: the absence of a mint mark. A buffalo nickel struck without a mint mark was produced at the Philadelphia Mint. Some people mistakenly believe a missing mint mark always makes a coin common. That couldn't be further from the truth. Condition, survival, eye appeal, and collector demand all work together. And when those factors align, even a Philadelphia issue can command astonishing prices. The coin itself feels surprisingly solid despite its small size. It was struck using a copper-nickel alloy consisting of 75% copper and 25% nickel, giving it durability while allowing the intricate design to be pressed into the metal. It weighs 5 grams, measures 21.2 millimeters in diameter, has a thickness of approximately 1.95 millimeters, and a girth, its full outer circumference, of roughly 66.6 millimeters. These specifications remained consistent, yet every surviving example has developed its own personality after decades of circulation. During production, dies experienced enormous pressure as thousands upon thousands of blanks were struck every day. Over time, die wear gradually softened many details, particularly on the buffalo's horn and the Native American's hair. Heavy circulation made the problem even worse. That's why finding a 1914 example with strong details and a very fine grade is becoming increasingly difficult. Survival isn't simply about age. It's about escaping decades of daily use, careless storage, moisture, cleaning attempts, and accidental damage. And here's where many owners unknowingly destroy their own fortunes. Never clean this coin? It may seem like removing dirt will improve its appearance, but collectors see things very differently. The original toning, the natural color developed over decades, is part of the coin's history. Beautiful antique shades of soft gray, gentle gold, chocolate brown, or subtle blue can dramatically increase desirability. Even darker surfaces or light dirt trapped within the design can prove the coin has remained untouched for generations. Once harsh cleaning removes that natural surface, the damage can never be reversed. In many cases, thousands of dollars in collector value disappear within minutes. Professional grading is absolutely critical. A respected grading service evaluates authenticity, condition, surface quality, originality, and overall eye appeal. Buyers feel far more confident competing aggressively for professionally certified examples because they know exactly what they're purchasing. That's why auction bidding often becomes surprisingly intense whenever an attractive, original 1914 buffalo nickel enters the market. Collectors don't chase this coin because they need another nickel. They chase it because they know opportunities like this continue disappearing. Many experienced buyers purchase examples specifically to hold for years rather than quickly resell them. Every time another collector locks one away in a long-term collection, available supply becomes even smaller. Meanwhile, new collectors continue entering the hobby every year, creating stronger competition for the same limited number of surviving coins. That's exactly how hidden wealth grows. Demand rises. Supply shrinks. Competition becomes fiercer. Auction rooms become quieter as serious bidders wait for the perfect moment to place one final offer that changes everything. A beautiful 1914 buffalo nickel without a mint mark in very fine condition, free from unusual mint errors, has reached today's market value of approximately $382,200 in the United States. That's serious money for a coin many people would mistake for ordinary pocket change. Imagine discovering one tucked inside an old family coin jar or inherited collection after years of being ignored. What looked like 5 cents suddenly becomes a life-changing opportunity hiding in plain sight. So before you spend any old buffalo nickel, stop and inspect it carefully. Check the date first. Confirm whether there's a mint mark beneath the denomination on the reverse. Examine the natural surface under good lighting. Resist every temptation to polish or clean it. Protect it carefully, and if you believe you've found something special, seek professional grading before making any decisions. Patience creates wealth far more often than rushing to sell. Most people will never notice these details. Now you do. But don't relax yet, because the next buffalo nickel on our list is even rarer, has an even more unbelievable story, and its value has stunned seasoned collectors in ways this coin simply cannot. What you're about to see next makes this hidden treasure look almost ordinary. Next up, the biggest mistake people make with the 1925 buffalo nickel without a mint mark isn't throwing it away. It's assuming that because it looks worn, grey, and ordinary, it can't possibly be valuable. That's exactly why collectors quietly watch estate sales, old piggy banks, inherited jars of change, and forgotten coin albums. They know hidden fortunes rarely shine. Sometimes the coin that looks the least impressive becomes the one everyone wishes they had never spent. If you think every old buffalo nickel is worth only 5 cents, this next discovery could completely change your perspective. The year 1925 arrived during America's booming, roaring 20s, a period of rapid economic growth, expanding industries, and rising consumer spending. While businesses flourished and cities grew larger, millions of buffalo nickels passed from hand to hand every single day through grocery stores, railroad stations, banks, cafes, and local markets. Across the Pacific, Australia was also experiencing economic development tied to agriculture and international trade, making this an important period in the shared history of commerce between both nations. Nobody imagined that one ordinary 5-cent coin from that busy year would survive long enough to become a collector's dream nearly a century later. That history is part of what makes this coin so desirable today. Every surviving 1925 buffalo nickel represents a genuine piece of everyday American life from almost 100 years ago. Most examples worked hard in circulation until their details faded away. Very few escaped decades of heavy handling, accidental damage, moisture, careless storage, or cleaning. That's why finding one with attractive originality, even in very good condition, can still create enormous excitement among experienced collectors. Look closely at the front of the coin, known as the obverse. Dominating the design is the powerful portrait of a Native American facing right, created by sculptor James Earl Fraser. Above the portrait appears the word Liberty, while the date 1925 sits near the lower shoulder. Even when the coin displays honest circulation wear, collectors carefully inspect the remaining hair details, facial contours, cheekbone, braid, and the strength of the date, because every surviving feature helps determine both desirability and value. Now flip the coin over to the reverse. You'll immediately recognize the iconic American buffalo standing proudly on raised ground. Around the upper edge, you'll read United States of America, while the national motto, E pluribus unum, appears above the animal. Below the buffalo is the denomination 5 cents. On this particular coin, there is no mint mark, confirming it was struck at the historic Philadelphia Mint. That simple missing mint mark often causes people to overlook the coin entirely. Yet knowledgeable collectors understand that originality, eye appeal, and scarcity matter far more than assumptions. One detail changes everything: the beautiful natural gray shade covering this coin. Many beginners mistakenly believe old grey color means damage. In reality, that soft antique appearance often develops naturally after decades of careful aging. Collectors frequently appreciate original surfaces because they reflect untouched history rather than artificial brightness. This natural toning tells a story that cannot be recreated once it's removed. Every subtle shade across the fields and high points becomes part of the coin's identity. That is why one warning cannot be repeated enough. Never clean this coin. A polished buffalo nickel might look brighter to the average person, but experienced collectors immediately recognize altered surfaces. Cleaning removes the original skin of the coin, destroys decades of natural toning, leaves tiny hairline scratches, and can permanently reduce collector demand. One careless cleaning can erase an incredible amount of value that took nearly a century to develop naturally. The buffalo nickel itself was built to withstand everyday commerce. It was struck from an alloy of 75% copper and 25% nickel, giving it remarkable durability while allowing Fraser's bold artistic design to stand out. The coin weighs 5.0 grams, measures 21.2 millimeters in diameter, has an approximate thickness of 1.95 millimeters, and a full outer girth of about 66.6 millimeters. Although every genuine buffalo nickel shares these specifications, no two surviving examples have aged in exactly the same way. Producing these coins was no easy task. During the mid-1920s, Mint employees operated presses under relentless production schedules to meet nationwide demand. The buffalo nickel's high-relief design placed significant stress on dies, causing them to wear more quickly than many other U.S. coins. As dies aged, fine details gradually weakened, particularly around the buffalo and the Native Americans' hair. After entering circulation, years of handling only accelerated that wear. Because of this combination of minting pressure and heavy everyday use, attractive survivors have become increasingly difficult to locate. This is why collectors inspect every tiny detail before making an offer. They study the remaining horn on the buffalo, the strength of liberty, the clarity of the date, the texture of the fields, and the originality of the surfaces. They aren't simply buying an old nickel, they're searching for authenticity, history, and preservation. Most people miss these details completely, allowing extraordinary opportunities to pass right through their hands. Professional grading plays an enormous role in today's market. A certified buffalo nickel gives buyers confidence that the coin is genuine, accurately graded, and retains its original surfaces. High-quality certification also helps protect the coin for future generations while making it far more attractive when serious collectors compete at auction. And compete they certainly do. Auction rooms often become surprisingly quiet when an appealing 1,925 buffalo nickel appears. Experienced bidders rarely reveal their excitement until the final moments. Then, almost without warning, competitive offers begin climbing as determined collectors refuse to let another exceptional example escape. Many of these buyers aren't purchasing for quick profits. They're building long-term collections. Every coin placed into a permanent collection reduces the already limited supply available to future buyers. That's why demand continues strengthening while available examples slowly disappear. Hidden wealth doesn't always arrive wrapped in gold. Sometimes it arrives disguised as an old grey 5-cent coin that everyone else ignores. Today, a 1,925 buffalo nickel without a mint mark in very good condition, with no rare errors or unusual varieties, can reach an estimated market value of around $368,500 in the United States. That's an astonishing amount for a coin countless people would overlook because of its age and worn appearance. It serves as a powerful reminder that extraordinary value often hides where almost nobody thinks to look. Before you spend any buffalo nickel, stop and examine it carefully. Check the date. Confirm whether a mint mark is present. Preserve the original toning exactly as you found it. Store the coins safely, avoid unnecessary handling, and if you believe you've discovered something special, have it examined by a professional grading service. Patience has rewarded countless collectors, while rushed decisions have cost others small fortunes. Stay with us, because the final buffalo nickel on today's list leaves even experienced collectors speechless. Its story is more unbelievable, its rarity is on another level, and the fortune hiding behind that tiny 5-cent coin is something most people will never see coming. Next up, the final coin on today's list proves that appearances can be incredibly deceptive. Imagine finding an old 1934 buffalo nickel with a D-mint mark, noticing a few brown spots, assuming it's just another worn 5-cent piece, and then spending it on a cup of coffee. That single decision could erase a hidden fortune forever. This is exactly why experienced collectors slow down whenever they see this date. They know that what looks ordinary to everyone else can become serious money in the right condition. Do not spend this coin, because what you're about to learn explains why collectors never stop searching for it. The year 1934 came during one of the most difficult periods in American history. The United States was still recovering from the Great Depression. Families stretched every dollar, businesses struggled to survive, and coins moved through the economy faster than ever because every cent mattered. Across the Pacific, Australia was also rebuilding after the economic hardships of the early 1930s, with industries and agriculture gradually recovering. During these uncertain years, buffalo nickels were essential in everyday commerce, passing through grocery stores, train stations, cafes, factories, and neighborhood shops. Almost nobody imagined these hard-working coins would one day become prized collectibles worth extraordinary amounts of money. That historical backdrop gives the 1934 buffalo nickel a special emotional appeal. Every surviving example carries the story of resilience through one of the toughest economic eras of the 20th century. Most were heavily circulated, exposed to constant handling, harsh weather, and decades of wear. Finding one today in very fine condition is becoming increasingly difficult, especially when it still retains attractive original surfaces. Take a close look at the obverse, or front, of the coin. You'll immediately recognize the bold portrait of a Native American facing to the right, designed by the celebrated sculptor James Earl Fraser. Above the portrait appears the word Liberty, while the date 1934 is positioned beside the shoulder. In a very fine example, collectors hope to see strong facial contours, visible hair strands, portions of the braid, and a crisp, readable date. These surviving details dramatically influence desirability because they reflect how well the coin endured nearly a century of history. Now turn the coin over to the reverse. Standing proudly is the famous American buffalo, one of the most recognizable designs ever placed on a United States coin. Along the top edge, you'll read United States of America, with the national motto, E pluribus unum, above the buffalo. Beneath the animal is the denomination 5 cents. Just below the denomination appears the small but incredibly important D mint mark, showing that this coin was struck at the Denver Mint. That tiny letter immediately attracts attention because mint marks are among the very first details knowledgeable collectors inspect. Detail changes everything. Many people focus only on the date while completely overlooking the mint mark. Experienced collectors know better. The combination of the 1934 date, the Denver D mint mark, and an attractive original appearance makes this coin one of the most desirable buffalo nickels from the mid-1930s. Even without rare mint errors or unusual varieties, demand remains remarkably strong because quality survivors continue becoming harder to locate. Another fascinating feature is the coin's natural brown spotting. To an inexperienced eye, these small brown areas may seem unattractive. In reality, many collectors appreciate natural aging that develops over decades. These brown tones often form as the copper within the coin's 75% copper and 25% nickel alloy reacts slowly with its environment. When the surfaces remain original and untouched, this antique appearance tells an authentic story of age and preservation. Original toning often creates far greater collector confidence than an artificially bright surface. That's why one rule can never be ignored. Never clean this coin. Cleaning removes the original surface that collectors value most. It creates unnatural shine, leaves microscopic scratches, and permanently changes the coin's appearance. Once original toning disappears, it can never truly be restored. Even a well-intentioned cleaning can significantly reduce collector demand and eliminate a substantial portion of the coin's value. The safest approach is always to leave the coin exactly as you found it. The buffalo nickel was engineered for durability. Every genuine example weighs 5.0 grams, measures 21.2 millimeters in diameter, has a thickness of approximately 1.95 millimeters, and a full outer girth of about 66.6 millimeters. Those specifications remained standard throughout production, but decades of circulation gave every surviving coin its own individual character through natural wear, color, and surface texture. Producing buffalo nickels placed tremendous stress on mint equipment. James Earl Fraser's beautiful high-relief design required powerful, striking pressure, and dies gradually wore down after thousands of impressions. As die fatigue increased, finer details became weaker, especially around the buffalo's shoulder, horn, and the Native American's hair. Once these coins entered circulation during the difficult economic years of the 1930s, constant handling accelerated the loss of detail. That's one reason genuinely attractive 1934D examples have become increasingly scarce today. Collectors pay attention to details that most people never notice. They carefully examine the sharpness of liberty, the visibility of the date, the strength of the buffalo's horn, the condition of the tail, the texture of the fields, the natural brown spotting, and the overall originality of the surfaces. They aren't simply collecting metal, they're preserving history. Every untouched example represents another survivor from an era when millions of similar coins slowly disappeared through circulation, damage, or careless cleaning. Professional grading is absolutely critical for a coin like this. Certification provides confidence that the coin is genuine, accurately graded, and retains original surfaces. Serious collectors are far more willing to compete aggressively when a buffalo nickel has been professionally authenticated and protected. That confidence often transforms quiet interest into intense bidding once an exceptional coin appears at auction. Auction behavior surrounding desirable buffalo nickels is fascinating to watch. Experienced buyers often remain silent until the final moments. Then the competition begins. One determined bid is answered by another, and another, as collectors recognize they may not see another comparable example for quite some time. Many winning bidders have no intention of selling quickly. They lock these coins away in long-term collections, reducing available supply while demand continues to grow. That's exactly why hidden wealth keeps growing. Every year, fewer attractive examples remain on the open market. Every year, more collectors begin searching. Every year, competition becomes stronger. Today, a 1,934 Buffalo nickel with a D mint mark in very fine condition, without rare mint errors or special varieties, can reach an estimated market value of around $342,000 in the United States. That's an astonishing amount for a coin many people would dismiss because of a few natural brown spots and its humble 5-cent denomination. It proves that extraordinary value often hides inside the most ordinary-looking coins. Before you spend any Buffalo nickel, pause for a moment. Check the date carefully. Look for the mint mark beneath the reverse design. Preserve every bit of original toning. Never polish or clean the surfaces. Store the coins safely, minimize handling, and if you believe you've found something special, have it professionally graded before making any decisions. A little patience today could protect a life-changing opportunity tomorrow. Who would have imagined that 3 ordinary-looking Buffalo nickels could hide such incredible fortunes? The next valuable coin waiting in your collection could be even rarer, and it might already be sitting unnoticed in a drawer, coin jar, or inherited collection, waiting for someone who knows exactly what to look for.